Tell me, do we have time for another number?
Oh, I think so, Jimmy. What tune do you have in mind?
Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Drinking Matters. I'm your host, a very tired and exhausted Brian. With me, I bring back a returning guest, my co-host, Andie.
Hello, everyone, again.
Thank you so much for coming back on this podcast.
Thank you for having me, even though I live here.
All right, before we start, I'm just going to get this out there for the listeners, for you too. I apologize if this episode's going to be a little bit weird. Two things. If there's a buzzing noise behind, the audio, I apologize. It's the AC. There's no way in hell I'm going to run this podcast without the AC. It's hot here in California. We want to stay cool. We don't want to die. So we're going to keep the AC running. I'll see if I can fix this in post. And if it bothers, I'm sorry. Second thing, I didn't get much sleep. I got like 2 hours of sleep the night before. I'm exhausted, but my body is saying, nah, man, you got to keep going. So whatever. We're still drinking. We're still here to talk. And I appreciate it for you coming back on the show, Andie. Now, we're going to talk about something that we've been talking about this last week. Mainly things that we've been noticing in our personal lives that involve society out there. Right now, when we're recording this podcast, we're still under quarantine due to this whole epidemic. And, both of us, I would say at least, we've been trying to avoid mainstream media. Not trying to pay attention to what's going on, to kind of have a good, better, positive mentality. Like I've been talking to you, like I spoke with Izzy, in the first episode, trying to keep that positive mentality. But more recently, these things have been coming up, and it's the protests with people wanting California to open up. That's going to be this theme for this episode, mainly because you brought up a good point and some stuff that has happened that you've seen and that you've experienced. And I want to discuss this and put, my 2 cents into this whole thing. But before we begin, what are we drinking today?
Well, I'm drinking an Angry Orchard Rosé.
A cider. Okay. I'll join you on that because, honestly, I don't know. I'm tired. I'm still going to take a shot of whiskey, or actually a shot of scotch before we begin. Glenlivet 12 year that was gifted to me back when I used to work. I still work there, but it was given to me by someone as like a goodbye present. And, I still have it all these years. It's good scotch. It's a good scotch. But I'm going to take the shot, and then I'm going to join in on that rosé just because, I don't know, I'm tired. And I want something soothing.
It's good and refreshing.
I'm taking this shot because I feel like this topic is going to get me. So why not get a little bit buzzed and then drink the rosé? And I don't know. I don't think a shot's going to get me buzzed, but whatever. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Let's go ahead. Oh, I didn't take that shot. I didn't take that shot well. I don't know why. My body completely reacted differently.
The rosé was pretty refreshing.
I don't know what the hell my body's doing. It's like saying, hey, buddy, you're awake. But for some reason, taking that shot, it went down the windpipe. And now it burns. That's going to keep me awake. So I think I'm going to be a little more energized this conversation. Oh, man. Okay. Whatever. It's over and done with. I already took the shot. So let's go ahead and start with this topic.
Yeah.
People protesting. We're going to mainly talk about California. So if I got any listeners that are, out of state, out of California, we're mainly going to be talking about the protests here in California and how people want, certain public places to open up.
And, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Well, I was going to say, and people who are kind of, protesting against it by not following rules.
Not following rules,
yeah.
Being mad that most public places are closed, feeling entitled that these places should be open, so on and so forth. I've been trying to keep up with it every time I see it. Yeah, sure. You know what? I find a little bit of humor in it because some of these people are pretty stupid. The majority, no, I would say all of these people that are doing this are pretty stupid. There is some humor to it, but there is some seriousness that I do want to touch on. Not to be insensitive about people that have actually been harmed because of these protests or anything like that. But there is some, it's the internet. People are going to meme this stuff and, they're going to point out the idiocracy of some people that do this.
Right.
But you did mention that you've seen these things firsthand.
Yes.
And I want to touch on that because where I currently revolve myself around, I don't see these things. I don't. The only way I know about this stuff is because I see it online, through Facebook or through media, things like that. That's how I know about this stuff.
Yeah.
You've experienced this firsthand.
Right.
So can you tell us, again, you don't have to mention like specific details, but what you've seen in regards to this?
Basically, I've seen various type of people. I've seen people that have come in and straight up just refuse to, like, for example, wear a mask. Like, wearing a mask is a big deal. And I've noticed, like, and it comes in a variety of ages. It's not one particular, like, age. I have seen more of, like, the older generation actually following the rules a lot more, way stricter. But I have seen more of the younger people kind of coming in saying, how do you know that this is even real? Like, why should I be wearing a mask? There's no reason for me to. Or, oh, well, this is against the ADA regulation, so I shouldn't be wearing a mask. Or that's taking my right. I've seen and heard different things that kind of like frighten me a little bit, because right now I feel like, I don't know, the rules are pretty much set. I feel like they're pretty strict right now. But what's going to happen when everything starts to reopen? This is only happening in like grocery stores, Target, Walmart, like places, essential places that are open right now. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if you heard about this story about the guy that came in. I think he was carrying, was it a girl or a man? I heard a story.
Was it the one that Philip DeFranco covered?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that episode.
That is scary. And so now these places are starting to say, you know what? If they don't want to wear a mask, then okay. But I think they're saying it in order to protect everybody else in the building. It's kind of like if you work at a retail store, they'll tell you this, like for example with like, I know, totally different topic, but it'll connect, with with theft. If somebody comes in and tries to steal, and you know that they're stealing, you can't go and apprehend them. Okay. For your own safety and for customer safety, and because you don't know what this person's gonna pull. And now I feel like that same thing is gonna happen when it comes to asking people to follow the CDC regulations and rules that they're setting up for health purposes. And now I feel like it's beginning to become a very political thing, when in the beginning it should have been about people's well-being, which was the whole point. And now politics and beliefs and conspiracy theories are starting to become part of it. And it's just, I think it's just a big ball of mess now. I'm so scared.
The conspiracies have always been around. Like,
well, yeah.
that's always been a thing. And you have these groups of people that have never wanted to or even cared so much as to like, even put anything protective. I mean, we've seen this stuff before. Like, there was a couple of weeks before the protests actually happened. I'm hoping. Hopefully I'm not wrong. But one of the YouTubers, we watch him. He does the whole, the Critical, the guy that, he does the whole, like, not promoting, but, like, he loves the sport of slapping from Russia, that guy. But he did a video where he talked about a reporter. I don't know if you've seen this in quotations because I don't know if he's an actual reporter. Mm-hmm. I forget the YouTube channel off the top of my head. It's something all gas, no brakes or something like that. How he went to a protest. I want to say it was here in California. And he, interviewed different people. Yeah. And he interviewed one guy that was saying, you know what, this is all a conspiracy, and no one should believe in this crap, and I've never washed my hand in years. Like, you're gonna have those people. Heard about that. Yeah, it's like you have people like this. So the conspiracies and, people being idiots, that's been around. My thing is this. Have you noticed an increase in people being ballsy? This group of them being ballsy and actually coming out more often than usual? Because when the quarantine started, I would say maybe a month and a half ago, people were taking this seriously. I would say that the loud population, the ones that were advocating for PPE and for, wearing masks and being hygienic and all these things, they were the louder group. But
Yeah.
as time progressed on, the way I see it at least is that you have now the louder group being the idiots that say, I'm not going to wear a mask. Why the hell do I have to wear a mask if I want to go in here?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that it's. Well, okay. So there's a difference between the loudest. Definitely they're being loud. But I think, to be honest with you, I feel like people who are following the rules and regulations is a majority. I think from what I've seen, but that's only speaking about in the region where we live. I don't know what it's like in other parts of the country, on how they're taking it serious or how seriously they're taking it, and how how strict those rules are. So like right now, I think there's some states that are already having some stores open up. The non-essential stores, they're starting to lift all those rules and restrictions. I honestly, I haven't really been watching the news, not as much, only because it was giving me anxiety. And every time I watched it, I don't know if you guys watched like the briefings every day at noon, or I think at 1. Well, for LA County, it's at 1. And you just hear, what's her name? I forget, from the public health.
All I know is Newsom.
Oh,
And that's just because his face is plastered on it. They should have been advertising, or
well, if
not
you
advertising, but they should have been plastering her name more often than
oh,
Newsom.
definitely.
And that's a whole separate thing. But when you think of these
Yeah, but
these notices or these things that come up every day at
Yeah.
1, the first thing that comes up on on any media, Newsom plans to do this instead of this is what was advocated by healthcare experts.
Well, no, that he has. I don't know if you've seen, but like I know for one doctor that he does have come up is Dr. Angel, who always comes up and does the whole PowerPoint of like the steps and as to why they're gonna start reopening. But I mean for LA County, that's for the state
That's
of
for
California.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so
But
you're
then
talking about the LA one.
Yeah, I'm talking
Gotcha.
about the LA County.
It's my
one.
tiredness speaking, so I'm like
It's
confusing
okay.
the two. I
It's
think of
fine.
California and I think LA. I don't even think about the north side. I can't.
Northside who?
North side?
No.
No, you can't piss off the people.
Just
If I
kidding.
say like the, no, you can't, because they're gonna get mad. It's like, what, you
No, we love the
Northern
north
California?
side.
All the rich folk up there are gonna come down to the southern side of California and be like, guys think you're better than that? Shut up. No, we love you guys. Not really, but we love you guys.
No, but the point that I was getting to, the reason why I don't watch the news so much is because it's depressing. Like, if you hear her talk about, like, hi, good morning, everyone. We're very sad to hear that today we have lost these many people. And it's like, it's every day, Monday through Friday. Well, I mean, not every day, but Monday through Friday. It's the same speech over and over again. And I don't know how, I wonder how she feels mentally. It's got to be hard to be able to have to report those numbers. It's sad. It sucks. And to hear it every day, that's why I stopped. I was paying attention every single day from when we first got the safer at home order, but after that I stopped. So I don't know what's going on around the world. I mean, in our country, most importantly for us, because we want to see what's going on. But I'm just scared, just kind of seeing the reactions of people around here. It's pretty scary in the way, like this one lady who came in with 2 of her kids, no masks on. She didn't have a mask on. I know there are rules where it says if the kid is 2 years or younger, they shouldn't be wearing masks. They're too little. They need to be able to breathe. But these kids were not 2. And at the end of her visit, she pretty much said that she hoped that everyone in the store had got corona. And it's like, okay, but she kept saying that this was fake. But I don't. She made a big show about it. Again, it's more of the minority, but they do want to seem louder. And I feel like because they stand out so much, like, I don't know if you guys notice, isn't it weird if you go to a store and you see somebody without a mask? It's like, what the heck? It's weird now.
Well, we've gotten accustomed to that now. It's like
so
we've reached a
strange.
point. I mean, we've only done this for almost about 2 months at this point. Like, we've lived this kind of life already for 2 months, but when
Yeah.
we think about it, it feels like it's been a really long time. So a lot of these things are normal now. And you are right, because I do want to touch base on this thing that you mentioned. It's usually the small group of individuals. It's not the big, at least the way I see it. It's a small group of individuals that have this opinion where they don't want to wear masks, where they want to open up facilities because they need haircuts, because they want to go eat out, because they want to hang out with their friends at the park or the beach and all these different things. And they don't have any consideration, not for themselves, but for the people that they're around with. They don't understand and can comprehend, well, this isn't mainly about you. This is about other people that could be infected. The reality is this, that when we talk about the virus, people can be asymptomatic. So I could be a carrier. But me being a carrier and not having any symptoms, I could be going outside, not wearing a mask, be 3 feet away from someone, sneeze, and then that virus transfers to someone else, right? And that person that gets the virus from me, I don't know what their conditions are. They might have asthma. They might have, there's a word for it, not pre-existing. Thank you. Pre-existing conditions that could eventually lead to a harsher, form of coronavirus down the line. We don't know this stuff, and that's what the group of people don't understand. It is a small group because, the Huntington Beach protests that happened not that long ago.
Yeah. When
you look at the photos, it was a pretty big size of people, group of people, right?
Yeah.
It was maybe about a block and a half to 2 blocks worth of people protesting to open up the beaches. A block to 2 blocks of people, I would say no more than about maybe 2,000 to 3,000 individuals showed up to protest. That's 2,000 people out of the millions of people that live in LA County that might not even have the same opinion. They're a small group of individuals, but because they're small and loud, they make themselves more apparent than everyone else.
Yeah.
Whereas most people, and again, I can't speak for everyone. I don't know if the big group of people are people that want to wear masks and understand that quarantining is important and stuff like that. I can't say that. But, it's something that I want to believe, at least, and hope that that's what the majority of the people believe in and actually want to do. It goes back to this whole thing where years back when, Facebook was new. Oh, people that pick on you, they're usually the small minority. They're the loud ones that hate everything. Yeah. Don't pay attention to them. They're a small group. They just want to feel loud, or they want to be loud to make themselves look big. That's the way I see this. It's a small group of people that are acting stupid and just idiots that don't think about it. But because they want to be heard, they just act loud.
Yeah.
And the truth is this. The louder you are, it doesn't mean that you're smarter or that you're right. It just means that you want your voice heard.
And it's frustrating, though, because, now they're going to reopen the beaches.
They are. You know what?
With restrictions.
Uh-huh.
I feel like maybe it's a good and bad thing. The way that it started first, closing them all together, because we had a weekend where it was really hot, and the majority of people, not the majority of people, but the beaches were packed, basically. And I think it scared, the governor and other people, oh, crap, we just, we're flattening that curve, and then now all of a sudden everyone decided no. So they were just no. Slap in the wrist. Stop it. And so they closed everything. They just went in harsh. So I think maybe the way they acted, people reacted and got angry. And I feel
it's a small group of people that reacted.
Right.
Because
a small group of people.
Let's face it, when we heard, and again, our opinion on this is not a representation of the majority opinion. What I'm going to say is, when we heard about the closures, it wasn't a big deal for us. No. We were but when all this started, you were saying, hey, why don't we just go take a hike? We're quarantined, so why not take a hike on the trails? And then literally the next day,
trails closed.
And you're like, what the heck? But the reality was, okay, trails closed. We understand. Yeah. Excuse me.
I didn't kick and cry.
That Scotch shot's still coming up. Oh my God, it's been almost 15 minutes and it's still coming up. It woke me up, thank God. but okay, so going back to the whole thing.
But we didn't kick and cry.
We didn't kick and cry, exactly.
We understood the situation. We get it. We understand. You know what? They're not going to be closed forever. They just have to. This thing has to take its proper steps. And I mean, right now they're starting to what are they doing right now with they're trying to get antibodies, right?
What do you mean?
Like antibodies or oh no, they have a treatment now, right? That's supposed to help people recover from the virus faster.
I haven't heard anything like that.
But it's not a vaccine.
I mean, I think what you're talking about is like there might be a procedure. I haven't heard of it, so I can't speak for it.
So
but maybe you're talking about like a procedure that probably eases the process of.
Yes.
Okay, so that could be. I haven't heard about that.
I don't know the specifics, but there's that. So, and I think there's also people need to be a little bit better educated, because when you hear that, you're thinking, oh, there's a solution to it completely. No, that's not what's happening. It's still taking its procedures. There's no vaccine yet. Once there is a vaccine, then I think that's when things are going to definitely start going back to normal. I feel like people don't understand that, yes, places are going to start opening back up again, but with restrictions. It's not going to be the same anymore. You're not going to be in big crowds. You're not going to be in places where maybe if, like, let's say you want to have a big party, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. I mean, I don't know what's going to, it's not going to be normal for a while. And I think people haven't gotten to that, they haven't come to
the realization.
Really, yeah, thank you. That's gonna happen.
So, go back to a key word that you said, that they might not be as informed about this whole thing. It goes back to what I was at last week's episode, where I spoke to Chris about, being correct and being informed, right, in regards to politics, but in this case, it kind of applies the same way. Most people feel like they need to be correct about what they're saying, rather than be informed about what's necessary. Fact of the matter is, if we tear apart the group of people that went to protest, you're going to have a lot of different subgroups. It's not all one cause. Yes, the main idea for the protest was they wanted to open up the beaches and they wanted to have the freedom to do whatever they want. But when you look down and, tear apart that group, you have different subgroups that exist within that group that are fighting for different causes. So that makes their groups even smaller. The main group that's still tiny is they want to open up facilities. Within that group, then you start to have individuals that say coronavirus is a conspiracy, so I don't believe in wearing a mask, and all of this is bullshit, and my kids are doing this. Then you have people that are saying, oh, and I hope that you've heard this, because I don't want to explain it to you. Coronavirus was caused by 5G, and
I've heard about that.
The networks expanding to 5G coverage is what's causing corona to be, developing inside our kids and whatnot.
Evidence.
Then you have individuals that say, this is America. I have the right to be free and do whatever the hell I want to do. If I want to go out to the park and I get sick, that was my choice. By all means, sure, by the definition of freedom, the literal definition of freedom, do whatever you want, sure, that applies to it. Again, there are reasons why you're wrong. They just wanted to be correct. And then you have other groups that say, oh, I'm here to protest the facilities. I understand the corona is real, but I'm going to wear a face mask. But I'm not going to follow any other rules. And then you have the other group of people. Like, there's different groups. You have the group that bothers me the most are people that say, oh, open up the facilities, and if I get sick, there's medical professionals that can take care of me. That's why they're there, right? To me, that pisses me off in an unbelievable manner, because that's a exponentially different level of inconsideration. This disease that's going on right now, it's affecting people at a rate that is unseen in years. And so you have hospitals. At one point, we had hospitals not having enough beds for people that were getting sick.
Yeah,
but the people still have that opinion. Well, then why didn't we prepare better? Why didn't we do this? Why? Because, you fucking idiot, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. And what pisses me off about this whole protesting thing, I get it. You want to have your freedom. You want to have the right to do whatever you want because quarantine sucks. Quarantine sucks so much. I get it. It's hot. It's 90 degrees outside. Right now we would be going to the beach, you know? We would be going out. That's what we would be doing, but we can't. So quarantine does suck. But the fact of the matter is that there are rules and procedures that we as individuals have to follow, not for just ourselves, but for the community and for the better of everyone.
There's a bigger picture. Basically, I think people are missing that, the bigger picture out of this.
Yes.
And so that was the whole point of the quarantine is, yeah, okay, there are doctors that can help you, but you know what? Right now, priority is, well, I mean, depending on what the case is, but right now, their real priority is coronavirus. So if all these people are taking up the beds of patients who have coronavirus, what about patients with cancer? What about patients with diabetes, stroke? They have a heart disease.
They don't matter because it's not that they don't matter. It's just that they take them away. Yeah.
People who are getting the virus are taking up, and I don't mean it to sound like this, but they would be taking up space for other people with underlying what is it called? The health conditions. So it would suck for those people. It would suck for everyone, and so that is why they put in the safer at home orders. That was the whole point, and I think people are coming. Those people that are protesting are at a breaking point. They're not there to protest. Oh, you guys are worsening the economy. Do you really think the United States wanted this? Do you really think that they wanted the economy to crash? This country thrives on businesses, on smaller and bigger ones.
Tell them. Speak it already. I mean, come on. No, you're right. No, you're 100% right. Granted, like we're not economic experts or anything like that, but it's it's stuff that you can see just by living here. Like you see this. But it goes back to this whole thing where it's like people just want to be correct. They don't want to be informed. They just want to be right. I want to open up the facilities just because it's boring to stay at home. I mean, do you care about anyone else? No, I just want to be right. Rather than being informed, most of these people want to be right. I can guarantee you that I would say, let's put a little hopeful number in there. 80% of individuals that went to that protest have no fucking idea about how this whole pandemic thing works. They probably couldn't even tell the difference between a pandemic and an epidemic if you give them the two definitions. You know, you would be able to, any person would understand that a pandemic is different than an epidemic. Not by definition, but understand that the two words are different. But I would say that maybe a good 80% of people over there would probably not even split the two words apart and think that they're both the same thing. Yep. They're not informed. They don't think about this stuff. If there are any listeners that, are going to argue and say like, oh, well, you know what, all this other stuff, by all means, go ahead and disagree and unlike this. The fact of the matter is that facts are facts when it comes to what's going on with this pandemic.
Yeah.
And by going out and protesting and doing all these different things and saying, well, I'm correct because I want this to, be over with so I can go to the beach, you're not just harming yourself, you're harming other individuals and not caring for the greater good. If at some point in your life you say, you know what, I want to be an individual that cares about the greater good, but you're doing this in response to what's going on, you never cared about the greater good. No. You're just being an idiot. You're being an idiot. And I want to bring this point across because I feel like it applies to a greater sense. I feel like I'm way more passionate about this topic than the other stuff. And I you know what? This is me being actually angry and letting everything out. I think it's a part of the exhaustion and the shot that I took and some of the hard cider, and that's what's making me say all this stuff.
But you took classes on this.
Yeah, I did. This was my major. this is what I goddamn studied. It's like some
the frustration.
Even Chris didn't get this much anger. Even Chris didn't get me this mad. Like, it's okay, anyways, going back to the whole thing, people want to be correct, but let me give this example. I don't care if you went out to say, well, you know what? Going into a Starbucks is public property. So I can go in there and fuck everyone else because I can do what I want and this pandemic thing is so stupid. By that logic, if you assume that everything that's available to the public is public property, then wouldn't your house or apartment also be public property? Because you allow individuals to go in there? It's the same way. If an individual goes into Ralph's and they say, you know what? I don't need to wear a mask. I don't need to do anything. You want me to wear a shirt? You want me to wear a mask? You want me to do this? Fuck that. I'm not going to wear any of this stuff. I don't care. It's a public property place. I can go in whenever I want and don't need to follow these rules. What would happen if another individual went into your home and said, oh, I'm sorry, am I not allowed in this home? It's out in the open. Why can't I not go in? Oh, well, it's my property. Buddy, I can assure you right now that you probably don't even own the home or the apartment that you are talking about. You're still paying it off. Or you're probably renting, which doesn't make it your property. So, if you have rules and regulations to your own living quarters or your own living spaces, why can't stores and other places where people go to have their own rules and regulations? You know? It just boggles my mind that people can't put the two and two together.
Or for people to respect those rules.
Exactly.
They can have their own opinion about what's going on, but rules are rules. Follow them, whether you like it or not. If you choose to go to that store, then just follow the rules. Okay, you could think that it's fake, that it's not real, that it's pointless for you to wear a mask, but you know what? That's what the rule is. So follow it.
Exactly.
That's the thing that they should be saying at these stores. But again, coming back to where we were talking in the beginning, the scary part is you don't know how these people are going to react the moment that you ask them to put on a mask.
You don't. And that is one of the sad... It's not even frustrating. It's just sad. Because there is no need to have a violent or aggressive response to putting on a mask. The story that you mentioned earlier, the one that Philip DeFranco covered, they were basically arguing over the fact that they felt offended that they even had to wear a mask. If I heard that story correctly, hopefully. If not, I apologize for misinterpreting the story, but from what I understood is they felt offended that they had to be asked to wear a mask. And then they came by and they murdered the person that asked?
Yeah, so I think they came back to shop, they had a mask on, and then they left, and then they came back.
And the son was the one that attacked.
I don't remember the whole story. But
Something
basically,
like that.
someone got killed.
Yeah, over the fact that you had to wear a mask.
It's horrible. People are just there trying to do their job.
Mm-hmm.
It's why punish somebody like that? If you're that angry, I don't even know what to say to you if you're that angry. I don't care, then just stay home.
Welcome to Drinking Matters, episode 5, the Angry Podcast. No, you're right. You're right. And it's stuff that's like, not to be insensitive, but it's like, how do you explain the actions of people like this? Yeah. The way that I see it, and this is by no means covering what they've done. By no means. There's no justification for anyone responding in such a negative way over what's happened. These group of people that react violently or negatively or aggressively to the response of what the county or the state or even the country, the response to this pandemic, they are representative of a small group of individuals that give zero fucks about what's going on.
But like, again, we said they're loud, and that action is loud.
Exactly. So the way I respond to that is the individuals that understand what's going on and why these things need to happen also need to be loud. By that, I don't mean go out and start violently beating the people that are disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is, it's as simple as kind of just saying, there is a necessity to do this. And there is a passive way to argue this thing. Wear a mask. If you believe that this pandemic thing is going on, wear a mask. Or wear protective, equipment when you go out. If you need to go out to go shop, do it at times that's appropriate. Be away from people. Understand personal boundaries. understand the sensitivities of some individuals. It's not difficult. When we go out to go shopping and whatnot, I still keep the 6-foot rule when I see people. Hallways or the aisles in stores are pretty small. It's difficult. And I 100% understand. But in my mind, and it's not anxiety or anything, if I'm shopping in an aisle and I see an individual coming my way, I step to the side.
It's a way of
let
politeness.
It is. It's but most people don't have that, and that's something. And would you say that you have it? When I speak to you, sometimes I feel like you have hope for humanity, and like there's that innocence where it's like, yeah, I kind of have hope for people to be competent, and then when they do something wrong, you get mad about it.
Okay, well, the way that but that's why I was saying, trying to like think about it in a way of like the majority of people are following the rules. The frustrating part is just this small amount of people who have those thoughts. Maybe the quarantine has driven them crazy. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're
maybe
zombies.
They were just born crazy. We don't know. Maybe
they're
they've been stupid their whole lives.
But I feel like, I don't know. Part of it, I feel like it's meant. Maybe it's getting to their heads. I'm trying to put like a little bit of like, I don't know, trying to have some perspective. Some things they say though are very very selfish or very like.
Let me put this idea in front of you. Okay. What is the purpose of a protest?
To be heard.
Okay.
To make change.
To get attention. Right? The overall idea.
Well, really to make change.
To make change, but in order to make change, you need attention.
Right.
How do you defeat the large crowd of people that protest? You just don't pay them attention.
I'm just kidding. No. Like, I started a revolution. Okay, you guys, the majority of us start a bigger protest.
We protest their protest.
To put their masks on.
Then you're just as bad as them because now you're getting a bunch of people together.
Yeah, but with
no,
that
ruins the.
I'm not.
No,
for their own well-being.
Look, you're already incorrect. You're already wrong. First of all, in all seriousness, the way you cancel these guys out, guys, gals, whatever, gender neutral, 2020, everyone, you don't give them attention. You don't cover them. I'm sorry, but as much as the media wants to play good guy,
media is
they fuck this up again by covering them.
Yeah.
Just don't. Just don't. We know.
You know what's confusing? It's like, yes, media is covering all this, but then also media is like, oh, look at these new symptoms that you should watch out for.
I mean, the media was the first thing to report murder hornets in May.
Oh yeah,
They're
out
always
for those.
Again. Let's take this topic about media. You know what? At some point, maybe episode 6, 7, or 8 will probably be media fucking up 2020. It's the revelation at this point. It's like people start to notice that media is just not as reliable as it is. But that's that's another hour discussion somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
But that's the unfortunate reality is that when you give coverage or you give not positive, but when you give these people attention, they feel empowered and feel like they've done something right. The reality is that if these people are protesting and they want to be heard and they want to be acknowledged for saying it's wrong for California, LA County, Orange County to close up all these places when America was built on freedom, you're giving them attention and you're giving them that acknowledgement to keep going.
Yeah. If
we the public who understand the importance of quarantining and the safetyness that comes with it, not just for yourself, but for others, push aside these people and say like, you had your fun for the last day. Can we get back to reality and, do what you're supposed to do? Things will get better. In response to individuals that you've seen mostly pop up in the area where we live in, the way I compared it was the bigger brother were the protests that happened in San Diego, in parts of the country, and then more closely to where we are, Huntington Beach. If you make them the bigger brother, The little brother is always going to try to copy what the older sibling does. And that's what I feel is going on here. You had the smaller, bigger crowd doing the protests in Huntington Beach. And then people around the area where we live in, they all of a sudden get ballsy.
Oh, yeah.
They grew the pair right there, and they said, you know what?
They
if
think
the people,
they did.
I mean, they didn't. They think.
They just have an easy way to do it.
Exactly. So you have the people out there, and they're simply saying, you know what? My buddies out there in Huntington Beach, they're standing up for what I believe in. I have justification for going into Target without a mask. Because fuck everything else. And forget everyone's safety. They're doing it. I can do it. You have little brother copying big brother. And that's what's going on. Again, the way you kind of get rid of that, not just, standing up for yourself and, following the procedures of what's in place in the places that you work in, you just simply tell them the facts. And if they ignore the facts, they're wrong. That's all it is. And it's frustrating, but we have to live with these people. There's really nothing else we can do because we can't put their faces on the ground and beat them up and be like, you guys are wrong. And this is not how this society works. You just have to put it as it is, be the bigger person, and acknowledge the fact that these people exist and just don't pay attention to them.
Yeah, basically.
Care more about the individuals that could potentially suffer and could potentially be harmed by this. I'll tell you right now, short story to the listeners, my mom, was diagnosed with coronavirus. And to me, it was one of the scariest times that I've had to live through in the last, I would say, I don't even know how long ago my dad passed away, but it was not as scary, but close enough to it that I was stressed out for a couple days. Because, because my mom has had pre-existing conditions with diabetes and asthma and all these things. And to hear that she had this, it sucked. It was, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I was stressing at work. I couldn't focus. And it's like you start to think about the reality of this. We took coronavirus quarantine seriously from the moment it was announced. You and I joked about it.
Yeah, but I think it's a way of
responding.
Trying to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. So we responded with jokes, but we took it seriously and we understood. And that's how we deal with stuff. We joke. We find humor in this sort of stuff. It doesn't become serious for some people until it affects them directly. And when it affects someone directly that understands it, it's a lot harder. Luckily, fortunately, my mom came out okay. She went to the hospital. They gave her antibiotics. They did the MRI and everything, and she went home, but she now has to quarantine for another 2 weeks, starting at the beginning of this week. Thankfully, the worst has gone. But the realization is that this thing is real. This thing is a reality, and this is what we're living through. We need to get this out there to a lot of individuals personally, the individuals that care, and the individuals that understand what's going on. You can't save everyone. You can't get the message across to everyone. We all hope that's the reality. It's not. There are going to be people that are going to be saying F that and F this and whatever. Put them to the side. You got to focus on the larger crowd, the people that legitimately care. Not everyone's stupid. Yeah. As much as I say that I have no hope for common sense among society, I still believe that, there is some form of common sense and some hope that people do understand this stuff. And so you got to push away that crowd that's just constantly protesting and all this other stuff. Push them away and don't give them acknowledgement. Give them their day of protesting. By all means, go out there and kick each other's asses and, be hypocritical and all this other stuff. But your focus should be on those individuals that do care and that have been affected and want to try to do the right thing, not just for themselves. Again, it's for everyone, for the whole. Those are the people that matter. So
I agree.
That's what it is. And I'm sorry I took over. I mean, you should be talking more as well, but
but you definitely have a different perspective because it came close to home, real close to home. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing you completely, once your mom was home, because she was in the hospital for a weekend, and you were definitely very distracted. You were a little bit more angry, more serious.
I almost did not want to record an episode this week.
Really?
I almost wanted to put up and say, like, I can't do it. But you know what? For the channel, I did it. For the channel,
But your mom's home now.
She is, yeah,
And
thankfully.
you turned around, like, your mood was like, did a whole 180.
But my opinions, my stance still stands.
Oh, well,
my
definitely.
stance still stands.
It's been the same throughout consistently.
I've had it.
I feel like you feel more strong about it because it did hit close to home, and your mom had said something that definitely, I think it rings true. People are not going to be able to understand the seriousness of this until either themselves or someone close to them has it. And once they do, then they'll understand, you know what, this is serious. We should be staying at home. While they're trying in the background, they're trying to figure this out and trying to make sure that there are literally doctors, nurses, people out in the front lines that are trying to figure this out to literally save humanity. This whole self-quarantine shouldn't have been for nothing. And people who are out there why are you protesting?
No, don't get mad. That's my job.
It's just frustrating because it's for the well-being of it's all good intentions. They don't want anything bad to happen. You hear people giving coronavirus testing free of charge here. I mean, at least here in LA County, and helping people. Do you really think they'd be sending out money from those stimulus checks? I don't think so.
Trump bucks. We call them Trump bucks.
Trump bucks. Yeah. Do you really think they'd be sending those out? No. They want the economy to restart. Yes, to help out people and all that stuff. A lot of people, I'm sure there are other people who are very lucky enough, yes, to get that stimulus check and still getting paid, and maybe use that stimulus check to boost up that economy again. Like, they don't want us to fall. Like, all of us as a nation, they don't want all of us to fall. We want to rise back up from this. But in order for us to do this right now, the world is not, like, this is going to sound weird. The world, no. No, the world is sick.
Restart the world.
The world is sick and we need a mend. I'm sure you guys have seen those pictures of Earth being sick. We gotta heal her again.
I've seen the opposite. I've seen the world being like, yeah, hell yeah, we're prospering.
We're so
Your
opposite.
girl's prospering, man. Your girl's like, ozone layer's repairing itself. Fishes are coming back from
okay.
places.
Yeah.
No, but I get you.
Yeah, like, there's literally everyone in the whole world, and like doctors and nurses and scientists, they're working to save humanity. Do you really imagine 100 years ago when there was another pandemic, right? Like literally 100 years ago, completely different. We have so much technology, and so, like, we can get research done quicker. We're so blessed to live in a time like this. It's amazing. And if you want to see it, like, all the way, it's amazing. Props to all those scientists and doctors and everyone who's working. That's amazing. I'm in awe. I'm speechless. It's amazing. And for them, I've heard a lot of doctors say it's an honor to work and be at service to help people out and that's amazing. Props to, I honestly applaud to them, for real, because wow. But because this is history. Damn, like, imagine they're going to be talking to their kids or grandkids about this. Like, yep, I was part of, like, that team to help them out.
It goes back to what Izzy and I talked about in episode 1. I mean, Izzy and I mentioned the same thing. You don't think about this right now, but, like, this is stuff that's going to be mentioned in the history books later.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I just hope that the people that do care and want to be saved, and honestly, props to everyone that's been taking this seriously too, because had it not been for a lot of people, the majority of people's contribution to that, and staying at home and being safe and going out only when needed, it's honestly, it's helping a lot. I can't even speak. I'm speechless. But it's helping a lot, and I think people need to remember the big contribution that they're putting in this as well.
Mhm.
Like, yes, obviously doctors and scientists, nurses, and they're people in the front lines, police and the firefighters, first responders, definitely. Um, yes, they have a huge impact, but us as a society, to be able to follow the rules and making sure that we are staying informed meaning not just following one source of media, but really reading into everything that's going on and keeping yourself updated. Like, I mean, what else do you guys have to do? Nothing. So read up on that too, please. Yeah, like, if a lot of people or the majority were to do that, you guys are you guys are a big part of it too. So I don't know that's how I see it positively. Like, I'm trying not to see the negative. Yes, it's horrible what's happening, those protests and people that come into stores and refuse and are protesting like that and are trying to be loud. But you know what? Like, okay, they can do whatever they want. I mean, if they get infected, I do not want to wish the worst on anyone, but I do hope that something happens where it makes them realize that this is real. This is real, and we gotta take it seriously.
You good?
Yeah.
You're good?
I'm sorry. It's just
No, you're good. You're good. It's honestly like it's good. I mean, we gave our separate rants, and like there's nothing. I mean, what would we do wrong by ranting about this? It's necessary because it is frustrating to see it. We're not close to like potentially getting over this, but we're making progress. We're definitely making progress, and to see people go back and be selfish, be stupid, be uninformed, it brings us back. And the last thing that we want is taking 3 steps forward and then going back and landing at the beginning again. We don't want that. We don't. And you're right. You're 100% right. We do have about maybe another 10 minutes into this episode, and I wanted to bring up this because around the time that we're recording this podcast, Newsom actually wants to start opening up California again.
Yeah.
By the end of this week. And it's an interesting idea. Like, we'll make it a quick 10-minute discussion. I think we've ranted on about our points pretty long enough. I would say that. But with Governor Newsom coming out and saying, I'm hoping I'm getting it's Newsom and it's not the LA mayor, it's not Garcetti. Is it Newsom?
It is.
Okay, I want to say it's Newsom. I don't want to get it wrong because I'm going to get called out for it. But, Newsom is planning on opening up California little by little and, conducting these phases to potentially get things better. Curbside pickup for certain stores, if they have it. So not stores that are already open, but like, I would say stores like Old Navy and stuff like that those kind of retails.
I'm assuming, I know some retail stores are already doing it. Like, I know Kohl's is doing curbside pickup. Some stores are doing it, which, I mean, I've done it before. It's good. I think once they do kind of like advertise it a little bit more, it's gonna get busy. Just watch for this weekend. It's definitely gonna get really busy, which is good. I think businesses are waiting for them to get busy, especially Mother's Day weekend. Hey, Mama's gotta get some gifts too,
Yeah. I think around the time this episode airs is when the procedures are going to be going in to start opening up the state.
Yes.
So you have stores doing curbside pickup. You're going to have trails and public parks and beaches to open up with certain restrictions.
Yeah.
You're going to have these things open up. Personally, and I do want to get your opinion on it. Quick little 5-minute opinion, but before I let you have yours, I would say, the way I see it, I felt like this was a response towards the protests. Because if the state wasn't going to act upon the things that were going on, like San Jose for Cinco de Mayo, people were partying it open over there like nothing changed. You had the protests here in Huntington Beach. You had the protests in San Diego. You had different things going on in different parts of California. It was a response. The way I see it, it was a response. Was it the right response? I want to say it was the right response, but it also isn't the correct response. The right response, by me saying it was the right response, it's me saying there was really nothing else that could have been done to try to ease up the people from doing what they're doing now. because you're going to have more and more and more people protesting. You're going to have more and more people going out and saying, like, this is stupid, this is what needs to happen, all these other things. To shut them up, open it up little by little and start implementing these things, especially since the curve is slowly starting to ease up just a bit. Enough. There might be a second wave. That's what they've been predicting. But it's supposed to kind of, in the way I see it, this is supposed to ease up the tensions between people that want to still be in quarantine and people that are wanting their freedoms to go out. It is the right response in that sense. It isn't the correct response because there still isn't enough information out there to know exactly how much this could further spread. People have already been commenting on the second wave. Could you imagine a second wave going on? No, it sucks. We had full closures, and New York City was one of the biggest cities in the U.S. to be affected by this. Do we want a second round of this? No, it's terrible. It's stupid. It's inevitable. We had to open up, and that's why I kind of say it's the right one, but it's also not really the correct one. Could it have been done differently? Open it up little by little. It doesn't hurt to open up trails and maybe some parks. I'm hoping that the implementation of saying, you know what, we're going to open up beaches and have people be 6 feet apart and have people wear face masks if you're going to go on the beach or hike, or if you're around people, understand the social distancing aspect. I hope that still is implemented. That's the hope. You know what? That's my stand on this whole thing. I don't know. What do you make of it? What do you make about this?
Honestly, I mean, well, you had your opinion. I feel like the steps that California has taken, well, California in itself, because I don't know more details of other states. The way that they came about it was, of course, putting very strict. I mean, they came in slowly, but then ended up with very strict rules and restrictions and all that stuff, which I think got people get used to that. Once they started easing stuff up, they have still been telling people, hey, if you don't really need to go out, we're still advising you to stay home. I think with that, them mentioning that, it's going to encourage people to still have precaution when they go out. Like, try not to stay in a store for too long, knowing, and I hope you guys know, we're letting people know that, yes, when stores open up, they're going to be at a certain capacity. They're not going to just like, all right, we're open, everyone come in. It's going to be like, okay, there's 20 people in. All right, now we got to wait until a couple people leave. All right, now we can get 5 people. It's not going to be the same. But I think just like how these protests have pretty much showed certain people's true colors, it's still going to show up during the second part of, like, this second phase 2, that non-essential stores are going to begin opening. And people are going to be able to go to different places. But you know what? That doesn't necessarily mean that the world is safe again. Things haven't been resolved altogether. And I think the smarter people are going to be able to understand that a lot better than people who have been frustrated. And I think it's good, though. Like, imagine 2 months of just being at home. I don't think that's necessarily healthy. So to be able to give them a little bit, like, okay, they've gone a little bit more progress. They have a lot more hospital beds to be able to, like, let's say that I think they had different goals. And I mean, if their numbers are correct, then I hope, they're telling us the truth and that it's not completely a response to, like, these protests. It's because they have been trying to make these goals in order to move on to the next phases. And stores and places that are going to open up again are still going to have restrictions, which I believe it's good. It's good, and there is going to be still some type of control. I think if there is like a second wave, or there are signs to a second wave, we're probably going to go back to the same thing again. But I mean, I don't know, like, I think you kind of have to also think about it, like, how people are mentally. Not everybody mentally, I don't think, are okay right now. Like, to be stuck at home and not be able to have people interaction. I know myself, I couldn't. For the first 2 weeks, I mean, it feels like a vacation, you're like at home doing nothing, like you're not working or whatever. But I couldn't just sit around and do nothing, and the opportunity came, and I was able to pick up a second job.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that because one of my old friends, Lewis, on Twitter posted, or he tweeted today, something that, like, it made me laugh because it's like, yeah, it's true because of this whole quarantine thing. He's like, the things I've seen on Twitter: bikes, walks, dogs, and then he did like, people getting Switches, Animal Crossing, and lots of liquor. And it's like, those are the things that people do when they're quarantined. I found it funny. I was like, yeah, I mean, he's not wrong, because I scroll through Twitter or my, other social medias, and I see people drinking and, trying to do what they can in their time of quarantine. You're right. Quarantine does suck. We mentioned it at the beginning of this episode. It's a hard thing to do. I've been at work. To me, nothing has changed, but I can't imagine what people who, have been out of work or have, had to be stuck at home, not
being
doing
with their
anything.
Kids,
yeah, it's
having to homeschool.
Oh my God, the terrors of these mothers and fathers taking care of their kids.
Well, no, but I mean, it's harder because like
it's
teachers have to deal with different things when they're at school. Imagine when you're at home. Like, I don't know, me thinking as a kid, when I'm at home, I'm not thinking about school. I mean, maybe for an hour doing homework, but then after that, it's like, woohoo, computer time, game time, fun time,
it's
TV
it's
time.
a weird thing to put two and two together.
Yeah, so imagine these kids are stuck at home. When you're in school, you're in that school mentality. Or, you're with your friends. Like, imagine kids, too. Like, I don't know. Like, it's different. You don't get to see your friends. I think myself, I've been noticing a lot that, and I think a lot of people too, we thrive in being around people. As much as, like, I'm not a big people person. I mean, I like people, but I can be very introvert. But you know what? I realized I enjoy being around people.
No, yeah, I mean,
it sucks not being able to see friends and family and, like, as often, and it sucks. It really does.
The way I see it, honestly, we'll get through it. I mean, we as human beings, we get through a lot of stuff. We've been through, historically speaking, we've been through a lot of stuff, and we've come out the other end. Not prospering, maybe, but, like, we've made it out. So I feel with this one, just there needs to be a reminder, we will get through this together.
We'll be okay.
We'll be okay, except the idiots that protest. They'll probably be the stragglers that we need to pick up at some point.
Just don't pay attention to them.
I think we've hit the hour mark. I think it's a good point to wrap it up.
Yep.
You finished your entire drink.
Yep.
So we can't cling empty glasses.
Oh, no.
So you want to go grab a shot real quick?
Okay.
And you mind grabbing me a shot before? I'm a bad host. I should have actually grabbed like 2 other shots just in case. I'll do the whole plugs and stuff like that. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Drinking Matters. I will plug Andie's socials, the ones that she posted or the ones she talked about in the last episode she was on. I think it was episode 3 or something like that. I think that's the one that she was in. So I'll be plugging in the same ones that were on that episode here. And my socials as well. You can follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, on Instagram and Twitter. They'll be posted in the description below if you're listening to this on Facebook. I also stream on Twitch. Still working on some stuff. I mean, I've gotten a little more comfortable, as you can tell, with the whole podcast situation and stuff like that. So it's going to be twitch.tv/Turtlag562. This episode is also available on Spotify. I've actually been able to transfer successfully all these episodes over to Spotify. So episodes, if you don't already know, will be uploaded on YouTube. Fridays at noon, same thing. Hoping, because I haven't really been checking the Spotify. Fridays at noon as well. Drinking Matters. That's the name of the podcast. Andie, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Just stay safe, everyone, and take precautions. Stay informed, and do it for the sake of humanity.
Exactly. Cheers. This shot is going to be... Cheers. Cheers it. There we go. Cheers. Thank you. This shot, I'm actually going to do it the right way. Not going to choke on it like the last one. There we go. That went down right. Yep, it did.
Just making
I'm
sure.
still tired, man. My body does not know what it wants. But Thank you guys for listening to this episode of Drinking Matters. I've been a very tired and exhausted Ryan. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.